In H5P, you can use dialogue cards to create some interactive content. Begin in a Canvas assignment and then select the H5P external tool. If the shortcut isn't available, just click on the drop-down beside the plug and search for H5P Interactives. From there, you'll select Add Content and then scroll down and find Dialog cards. Once there, you will enter a title for your deck of cards, and then you can add a task description. Now that description is really instructions for your students in how to manipulate those dialogue cards. You can be as specific as you want to as far as maybe the learning target for interacting with those dialogue cards. All right, then the next step is actually to create cards. You'll begin by entering information for the front side of the card. So if our deck of cards was over the American Revolution, or maybe events leading up to it, I might begin with the Stamp Act and maybe even put in a date. All right, from there, I've already created the front side of the card, and now the answer will be the back side of the card. So you can see that you can easily use these to ask questions and provide answers, or you could use them for vocabulary with the term on one side and the definition on the other. All right, then you're going to provide whatever content you would like for the back. And from there, you can also add an image. Now, it's important to note that if you add an image, it will appear both on the front and the back. So if you start with a term and you want to maybe give a clue, students will see that on both sides. All right, so we have our front side, our back side, and even an image to go along with that. Now, if you're ready to add an additional card, you just click Add Dialog, and it will allow you to add different cards right here. So you'll just continue until you have your entire set built. There are a couple of things to note about creating dialogue cards, and one thing might be a support to an emerging reader, and that would be the ability to add audio files. And actually, that might be some consideration that you would make in any circumstance. But you just click on the plus button, and it will allow you to upload an audio file, or if there is one on a website somewhere, you can put that source's URL here as well and add that. So that might be a nice feature to consider in certain circumstances. Another thing to consider also is that there isn't a spell checker in H5P. And so I like to build out my content on a Google Doc and then just copy and paste it in here. And that way I can make sure that my spelling and punctuation is exactly what I want it to be. And it also allows me to have that bank of content that I can use for dialogue cards or maybe even use on a different interactive. So dialogue cards are exciting because you can use them to introduce content and also to review it. Now, once you've completed your set, all you'll have to do is select Save and Insert, and they will be placed in your Canvas course. One quick reminder, don't forget to add a title. All right. It'll take just a moment to populate, but once it does, you'll notice that the cards appear here. And when the students wish to engage with them, it's best really to take a look at that in a published version. All right, so the students would be met with the front of the first card. They would flip it and get the content. If they're ready to go on to the next card, they click the arrow. But if they want to go back and remember, wait, what was on the front of that card? They would just turn it back. And then when they're ready, they would progress to the next card. And then turn it and turn it back. And they can move forward or backward depending on their level of comfort or how they might want to study those terms. And then when they get to the end, then they have no more cards to turn. So you can notice that that arrow disappears. And that's the dialogue card feature of H5P.